Are you interested in media coverage with over 80,000 podcast playbacks per month, along with automated outreach to thousands of customized targets to grow your revenue more efficiently? With over $8 billion in new sales pipeline growth delivered to our partners so far, we can help. Please reach out for more information. Hey, everybody, welcome to, Supply Chain Innovators. I'm Mike Vincent. I'm not the innovator, but my good friend Omar Singh is. Omar Singh is an innovator, and he's innovating again. Dude, I see you still. Are those their boxing gloves still in the corner there?
Still there, yeah.
They are, brother. They still get a workout every once in a while, or what?
A few times a week. Yeah.
Only when someone makes
not that pair. There's another one in the garage, but yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you. Only when people make you mad, right?
Yeah.
Are you allowed is there a concealed carry for boxing gloves, or you just?
No, there's an old school trick where you could put powder in your wraps, like rubber cement powder, and then it turns into cement on the inside. Only the real dirtiest of people have ever done that.
Oh, so you've never done it? You've just been told?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I got you, brother. What are you doing these days, Omar? What's going on, man?
Oh, what am I not doing? I would say the biggest news is that we're sort of getting ready to launch Get Real Rates, which is the commercial product of, the tech that we built to make Surge kind of what it was at its heyday, at its largest. And, you might remember back in 2021 and 2, I used to say, hey, in a couple of years, every single broker and carrier is going to be pricing with APIs. And, I thought somebody would make it widely available to everybody at an affordable price. And kind of not really many people are doing it. So I decided to just throw my hat in the ring and commercialize the tech, make it super affordable, and, hope to see all logisticians using it.
Yeah. That's the way to make a prognostication come true is to do it yourself, dude.
To make it happen. Yeah.
So is it purely just to make sure you weren't wrong with your prediction, or was there?
Just to prove myself right.
Was that what it was?
No, I'm helping people use it, and I think the industry will benefit from it.
Tell. People. There's a lot of people out there that understand what pricing is, but they don't understand how it works, right? And there's a lot of people who remember Surge and its heyday and what you were doing there. I interviewed you many a time when I was at FreightWaves, and talked about Surge quite a bit and the API. But can you explain a bit of the secret sauce, the secret sprinkles?
I think there's sort of two kind of pricing products out on the market, right? There's a lot of pricing products out there that help you set a good carrier buy rate, and they tell you sort of what you should expect to pay the carrier. And there are all kinds of tools to help you attract carriers, but there are not really a lot of tools out there to help you attract customers with the API pricing capability. And there are not a lot of sort of fast options to be able to do it either. So one's like carrier procurement tool, and other is what I would call customer or load procurement tool. Okay. And that's what we have. And so, like, to give you an idea, at Surge, we were running $300 million in revenue, and we had 3 salespeople. So it's kind of unheard of in the industry,
It's crazy efficient, right?
Yeah, to be able to bid on that much freight. And then, like, sort of in my relationships with the large shipper TMSs that have enabled API pricing, a lot of them would say that their shipper customers would complain that they want more carriers to be able to participate in this API pricing thing, but they don't have the resources to build the capability or to build a tool or to invest in it, because it costs $500,000 or $1 million to be able.
So they need that intermediary, that in between linkage to make it happen. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then they would say, look, we would send more freight this way, but I only have 10 providers who are here, and there are 120 in my network. So how can we make it like more attractive for shippers so that they get more bang for their buck if they invest in, using APIs by having maybe their entire carrier and broker base participating? And how can we make it more efficient for brokers and carriers to participate, whether it's spot or dynamic routing guide or, dynamic rate tree, whatever it is, digital freight marketplace. Different TMSs have different names, but they're all kind of the same thing. But the whole ecosystem is going to do better if the shippers have more providers and more providers are more sort of enabled in an affordable way. And that's what we're doing. And we're excited to, sort of be part of it. And there are a couple of people out in front of us, but I think it's such a huge opportunity for this industry. And, maybe I will be right. Maybe in 5 years, everybody will be doing it.
Well, it seems like I mean, it's got to be the way to go, right? It's really just that you're trying to connect two disparate players, right?
Right.
And you're trying to connect them with a technology and a platform or tech stack that isn't easily, created.
Yeah, it's not easy to build. And the fact is, most brokers and carriers are small. We all know that
Yeah,
statistically,
the bandwidth to build it into your own system is different.
Yeah, so even if you found a way to do it for 300 or 400, like, it just, most people aren't going to invest in that.
No.
If we can kind of put it in your hands like fast, almost no time to market once you decide to do it, $1,000 a month, and you're getting like big ROI per customer. That, I think, is something the industry deserves to have.
Okay, so what is it that makes it that big ROI? I mean, you're saying things like, okay, look, the API is something that everybody wants, right? And it makes things easy. How exactly does it make it easier, and how exactly does it make real rates?
So, well, there's two. One is like there's the dynamic pricing portion,
Right.
which is just how you come up with your rate.
Okay.
And then the other one is the API is how you deliver the rate, right?
Yeah, right. So I get the API delivery,
Right.
right?
So the API, the dynamic pricing portion is, so we're like, our product is, we're connected with truck stops rates, with McLeod's rates, with Sonar's rates, with
Okay.
Green Screen's rates. Eventually we'll probably add a couple of the other larger ones. But so, you get like an OD pair, and then you call whatever rate engine you like to use. And I always use an example, Newark to Chicago, because it's a high volume lane. The rate engine will say it should be $1,000, but that's like an aggregate. And then, so you go, well, how much lead time do I have? Does it pick up on a weekend? Is it hazmat? Is there driver assist? Is there driver unload? Does it require a team? Are there limited hours at the shipper? Is there bad weather right now along the route? Or is it DOT inspection week? Or is it, holidays, whatever it is, all of these variables where you can put kind of markups or markdowns. You can do either one, because you mark up because there's snow in New Jersey, but you mark down because you really want to get to Chicago, right? And then so you layer all of that in, and you say, okay, the aggregate rate's $1,000, but on this day, in this moment, I need 1375, or I have 10 trucks stuck in Jersey, so I'm going to discount outbound on this day. I just need $800 because
I need to write my ship. I'm underbooked and I'm overbooked in the other market, whatever. Yeah.
So, and then you can just change those decisions
within the network or within the dashboard or the interface that you give them.
Yeah.
I got you. Does it take into account some of those things for me to add those in there, or no? Well, or it's really just an aggregate. So if one of the ones that you're pulling rates from is in there, then it's going to adjust some of that, I would suppose. Yeah.
Well, no, it's really you. I mean, so we create the variables, and then you decide.
I got you.
So you can decide based on length of haul, target margin, if you're an asset-based player and you're participating spot to fill your back hauls, or if you're a broker and it's, it's front hauls. But you decide. So, you can decide if you want your discount to be minus $100, or you want your premium to be plus $300, or, and then we have like same day hourly clock. If your rate engine says Newark to Chicago should cost $1,000, well, do you want to give it, if it ships on the same day at 8 a.m., 1,000, or you want a little bit more? What about 10 a.m.? What about 12 noon? What about 2 p.m.? Right. So you decide sort of what works for you in that situation.
Yeah. When it gets down to the end of the day and the dock sweeping starts to happen.
Right. Yeah. And then, do you want to bid on next day loads? Do you want to bid on past date loads? We do like a lot of times, if something's missed, it's past date, and then you win. And then somebody else calls you and says, why'd you miss this pickup? And then you get in this whole conversation. Somebody else missed the pickup, and go, well, it's on your scorecard, and we're going to kick you out of the system. You go, I saved the day. And
you
have to make decisions around that. and
Yeah.
charge premiums around it.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, can you set your own personality, so to speak, your business, your entity's personality within the system, and it automatically takes all that into consideration, and it's dynamic enough to do it on the fly, or
Well, you do it on the fly. Like I
it's
spend
always on the fly, or can I set up specific things within it and then kind of
you
adjust as
set up
we go?
specific things and you change your mind whenever you want to.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. So if you just like, as people talk about reading the market, or maybe an easier example is uh, bad weather, right? So if you see 2 feet of snow coming into Chicago, maybe you wanted to provide a discount because you wanted to get back to Chicago. So you were at market
Yeah, yeah,
engine
yeah, yeah,
minus
yeah.
200, and then you go, wait a minute, now I need plus 700 because no one's going to be able to deliver. So you just change it,
Yeah.
but you gotta be paying attention because things are changing all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's the key, right? Is you
Yeah,
well, I mean you make things simpler, and then you can make decisions.
right.
I mean, so to speak, right? If you're not doing the tasks of entering and bidding and changing your things, you can decide more on how to do that, right? It frees up that time to make intelligent decisions instead of filling your time with actually inputting information.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's fix it and forget it, and then you just want to sort of
Yeah.
make those intelligent decisions where it matters. So, like, I'll just give you an example. Like, whatever the market engine says it's going to cost me to pick up in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
I know it's wrong. I know it's going to cost me more than that, right? So I can just say, I'm going to put a premium on the state of New Mexico outbound, or I'm going to put a premium on the state of New Mexico inbound, or I'm going
Okay.
to put a premium on the zip code. And then, you can go theoretically play golf and you're not going to get burned out of New Mexico. Um,
Right.
that could be a fix it and forget it. But then maybe if you fix it and forget it, New Mexico, and then there's a port strike in California, you can then start changing that on the fly. And then
Right.
once it goes away, you kind of reduce your exposure and change it back. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're tweaking these dials to see what happens, anyways, right?
right,
And when you get them tweaked in, you roll, and then you can, as
right,
events
right,
happen or situations occur, you adjust
right,
them then accordingly. So if you're the shipper, right, and theoretic, I'm just going to say we'll just use this. Let's say let's say you're the shipper, so you have the bandwidth for API doing all this other kind of thing, right? But your carriers and many of your carriers do not have that. You
right,
solve that issue of that
right,
connectivity between the non API, say smaller carriers, and the larger shipper that has that bandwidth. Is
right.
that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Super fast onboarding. Spent probably a year building the capability where brokers or carriers can just log into the site, pick a subscription level, enter their credit card information, get a link to, go into their own portal and enter their credentials and just start going with their shipper. Now, most people are going to do it because you got to learn, the sort of 7 steps. But
Sure.
I would teach them. And then, after one customer, 2 customers, or 3, ideally they would just then do it on their own after that. But I mean, like, I think it's a couple of hours for onboarding, whereas a lot of other products in the market are a couple of weeks. So
Or require hardware or a
right, yeah,
software integration or whatever it happens to be.
right,
Yours is fairly simple.
yeah,
Does it does it integrate through the intermediary at all? Do you service into the broker at all?
well, yeah. So mine, you would just go log on to getrealrates.com,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would go to log in, and then you just essentially put in whichever rate engine you use. You put in your customer's credentials. I mean, so there's a few things to do. You
Yeah.
can and then you're just live. You can start seeing all of your customers' freight that they want rated either on a spot API, so it's just like doing the spot bidding board, but like within seconds, or their what they call the routing guide API. There's so many different names for a routing guide API, but it's just, rather than doing the traditional static Excel carrier 1, carrier 2, carrier 3, they'll just say insert your rate kind of wherever applicable, and maybe they're rate shopping, maybe that's a true opportunity. We used to bid like 1 million loads a month.
Yeah, sure.
But they're not all true opportunities.
No, there's rate fishing.
Yeah. It's like, if the primary doesn't take this, what are you going to charge me? But the primary takes it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they're not all real, but certainly a lot of them are.
Yeah. But you gotta weed through those deals. So, all right, this is fantastic stuff. And so reality is happening, because, like what you said, you're not the only one just proving that your prognostication was correct. There's others out there trying to do this as well, right? Or with the product not trying to do it, they're doing it and building the market, right? So, what is the next step from this, or are you not going to say that because it's in your back pocket?
No, for get real rates.
Or just the industry as a whole, because once you start doing these instant rates through API coming back and forth, right? And you start to have the ability to turn these dials, right? The data that I'm bringing into my brain analog and exporting from my brain analog into a digital system eventually can be just hooked digitally and bypass me.
Yeah, I mean, I think like at a very high level, like what's next is routing guides are getting more shallow. So whereas shippers used to bid out, kind of carrier 1, carrier 2, carrier 3, carrier 4, carrier 5, they're going, carrier 1, carrier 2, API providers, which is like my entire base. And then also they're more narrow in the sense that, if shippers used to say, I'm just using general numbers, have 100 lanes, so you got 100 lanes wide. And now they're saying, okay, I'm only going to bid out 50 of my lanes. And on those 50, I'm going to go 2 deep instead of 5 deep. And on the other 50, I'm just going to play the market like the whole time, because I always want the best rate. And so long as they know when the market's tight, you pay a little bit of a premium, but you secure capacity. And when the market's loose, you save money. But
you're hedging basically.
Right. Yeah. Right. But if you're okay with that, usually over the course of 12 months, you save money as a shipper. Yeah. And as a carrier broker, you get more freight.
Yeah, sure. You just have to be smart enough to be able to play that game. It's always the right game to play as long as you're intelligent enough and understand it, right? So if you're not, learn it and then play it.
Right. Yeah.
Because it is definitely weighted. Yeah, take a class, and because that is the way you should be doing it, right?
There are a lot of shippers that are saying this like it's coming and it's the new way of doing business. So
no, it makes it makes sense, right? I mean, it's like that natural evolution of going of where you go, and I think these you're touching on. It's very cool and it's a great advancement, but I still see it as scratching the surface of where we could go.
Right.
If we apply certain nascent technologies like AI, et cetera, in the right manner without all the hype and BS, towards something that actually works and not just as a tagline at the end of my name, so that people go, oh, he's using smart, and it's not that.
No, it's a huge opportunity. I mean, it's like there are weather prediction engines in the market, right?
Oh, that's exactly what was on my mind.
So like, you shouldn't have to go in and say, oh, there's a hurricane hitting Jacksonville, let me stop bidding or let me charge a premium or whatever it is. If you get the weather score that the hurricane's coming in theory, someone should, I'm not smart enough, build the AI to just...
I know a guy.
make that adjustment for you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's exciting times, Omar. It really is, because when you're building this stuff, is there a danger of building yourself into a corner where you can't adjust for those? And I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying from a developer, right? You're obviously ahead of the curve in many, many cases, at least for the last couple businesses and for the time that I've known you, you've been thinking ahead, right? I mean, you did this at Surge and now you're bringing it here, and you're one of the forefront thought leaders in this type of thing. So when you're building these, do you think about what 5 years and 10 years is and make sure you're, at least for the known, you're making the flexibility and ability to integrate into those new things so you don't accidentally build a moat around yourself?
Well, I wish I was smart enough to think it like that on my own, but yeah, a lot of times I work with a tech team,
Yeah.
and the tech team makes you think about that because they're saying,
Mhm.
what's the infrastructure and the architecture that you want to have 3 years from now?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that today. And so they call it horizontal scale and vertical scale. And
Okay.
so, so I guess there's pillars that are high, and then there's, space that's wide. And so, what are all of the things that you want to do within horizontal and vertical scale? And then you don't know what you don't know, but you also don't want to spend an extra $500,000 just on maybe a what if. So there's all these sort of open ended.
Yeah, that's true. You also don't want to come up with something that's going to get crushed in 3 years when you could just wait and go stealth for a couple of years and develop it correctly,
Yeah, maybe.
right? I mean,
Sure.
I mean that can always be a thing because somebody eventually is going to you're going to get rid of horizontal and vertical, and there's going to be a Wonka Vader. Remember the Wonka Vader that goes sideways and this way and
Yeah, yeah. I haven't worked on the sideways yet. Yeah.
well, I mean,
Right.
the 45-degree angle, the 60. Conceptually, I see it. I don't know what the hell that means in
Right.
tech development, but yeah, I
Right.
mean, it's got to be there somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's coming.
It's got
Yeah.
to be coming at some point. So, your next thing is going to be Wonka rates.
Yeah.
I've got
Let's
a
go.
golden ticket.
I'm gonna get that domain. As soon as we're done talking, I'm gonna get the domain.
You better. Well, you
Yeah.
got some time. This won't publish for a little bit, but
Right.
yeah, just remember I gave you that. So who's your main customers right now? Who you attacking right now? Where is the adoption the most that you need to evangelize the most?
So we have the ability to scale enterprise, like, because that's what I've already done. But
Yeah,
we're really set up for small and medium sized brokers who, neither have the resources or maybe desire to
gotcha.
build this kind of system,
Yeah.
and also just want a really affordable monthly subscription, which is 95% of the market. Most people,
Oh
even
yeah.
their
Oh yeah.
competitors of mine, that they want you to have 100 customers, and they want to charge you $200,000 a year.
Yep.
So for me, I'm okay if you just want two customers. If you say, look, these are my three biggest customers, or my only three customers, and I want to deploy this technology for three people, and so let's go. I
Yeah.
mean, that's who I'm trying to change the industry by working with, to say
Yeah.
all of you should have this. Every single one of you should have this.
A lot of people come into it going, "Hey, we're going to make you compete with the big guys," but then they only sell to the big guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
As long as you got the money of the big
Right.
guy.
Yeah. It's like saying to the top 50, you can now compete with the top 10 or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, yeah, no. When you look, I mean, you're 100%. I mean, if you look at, no offense to anybody, but if you look at the brokers that matter, there's like 1,000,
right,
but then there's like 100,000 brokers,
right,
which
right.
they all matter. But when you're talking about the top
Yeah. The revenue numbers, the revenue.
revenue
Yeah.
numbers,
Yeah.
exactly,
Right.
size wise,
Right.
not
Yeah.
capabilities or
Yeah.
importance,
Yeah.
but
And so
size
those
wise.
other 950 of them, could really benefit from this,
A
but
hundred
it
percent,
needs to
yeah,
be enabled.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing too is Omar is, don't you think that, or do you agree with this statement? Because it's a bit off topic, but not really, because it addresses the market that you're going after and you're working with and you're targeting are the smaller guys. Aren't those smaller guys a lot more legitimate these days than they were back in the day when you and I were, possibly could actually get in a boxing ring and win a match?
Yeah. Back then.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Because back then they were the first ones to get dumped into grease, right? And that's what we used to say. Look, the legacy players, the big carriers, the big brokerage houses, et cetera, they don't know what the hell's going on in the freight economy until it already has happened for a few
Right.
months, because they're the last ones to get dumped into grease. That kind of has changed now, hasn't it? Because
I
of the
think it
legitimacy through
has.
the
There,
technology.
there are a lot of tools out there because of technology that have, essentially created that situation. So take, what used to be, if there's a smaller brokerage and a carrier does a give back, right?
Yeah.
And then they would used to say, "Oh, it doesn't matter because I only do one load a year with him or whatever." But then if they report the give back on TAA Watchdog or on Carrier 411 or on whatever, guess what? Now everybody knows and nobody wants to do business with them anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways that the smaller people have been able to be sort of just more relevant by not
And
being
more
able to
trusted,
compete.
right? I mean, because the technology is better. I mean, the intermediaries, right, have better vetting tools. They have better services, et cetera. And so by that stable of carriers is much more protected now because better service,
Right.
better connectivity,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I think it just keeps growing that way with advancements like yourself, which are fantastic, or with that you're bringing
I'm
forth,
trying.
right?
I'm trying. But yeah, it used to be a more closed network, and I think
Yeah.
now everybody's more connected.
Yeah, it's opening more because
Yeah.
these technologies are truly making it more an even more even playing field for
Right.
the smaller versus the larger. That tech stack, you don't have to have that bandwidth inside your company
Right.
to take advantage of these
Right.
technological advances.
Yeah.
It's fantastic stuff, dude. Look, man, 25 minutes, poof, gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Where to
I
go?
mean, it's got. It seems shorter than a 3-minute round, doesn't it?
It does.
At times.
Right.
We've all had those rounds that lasted for days.
Right. Yeah.
You can't win, Rocky.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what's next? You're out of stealth, you're developing, you're going after it, right? They're going to getrealrates.com, is that right?
Getrealrates.com. Yeah, site should be fully live by the time this show's live.
Right on.
Getrealrates.com to sign up, to learn more, to schedule a demo, to get a call back, anything that you want to know, to see our pricing. It's all, a lot of people say, oh, for pricing, call set, everything is above board. Everything is right there for everybody to see. You can sign up immediately. You can pay immediately. You can get started immediately, or you can submit an inquiry. We're going to get right back to you within 24 hours, hopefully. You can schedule a demo. Our calendar is going to be open, so you can just log on and schedule it. And then we're going to be at TIA. We're going to be at Broker Carrier Summit. So I'll be there personally with some team members if you want to meet in person and look at a demo on site or just talk a little bit more, or have a drink. We'll be out there, and we'll probably be at McLeod and some of the other events coming up.
Fantastic, brother. I really appreciate it. Check out Omar Singh. It's not his first rodeo. And who said that only 2 rodeos makes you an expert anyways?
Yeah, I don't know, but
I don't know. That doesn't.
We're going for it.
Make it happen, my brother. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, downloading, listening to Supply Chain Innovators. He's Omar Singh, and it's getrealrates.com. Check the stuff out. Omar, peace and love, my friend.
All right, man. You got it.